Hey, Chandler Bolt here, and in this video I want to talk to you about the importance of having a financial model in your business if you want to increase the profitability of your business and really just get to know your numbers inside and out in order to grow your business and get more profitable. Now, this is one of those things where I didn't have it, and then when I found out it was a thing, my mind was blown, and I could not believe that I operated for so long without it. Now, what is a financial model? A financial model is simply, it's a monthly P&L that really lists out your numbers both so far this year and into the future. So it's kind of retroactive. So what's happened and what do you predict that's happening? So let's imagine for a second. So we've got kind of this spreadsheet. It's month to month to month for an entire year. So what we do is we create this model, which is a projection. So we'll project out the entire year and then we'll revisit it each quarter to reassess this and to kind of rebuild it. Now, what this does is so many times as an entrepreneur, we have these ambitious goals and these ambitious growth plans. But what happens is, I just remember being like, oh yeah, we're going to do $500,000 next month. And I had nothing on paper that was working up to that number. I just pulled that number out of my head and that's what I thought we could hit. And so when one of my operations managers that used to work at self-publishing school, when he brought this concept to me, I was like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful, because now we can map out everything that we need to do to hit the goals that we want to hit long term, or this year or this quarter or whatever that looks like. Now then it also forced us, if we weren't modeled to hit what I wanted to hit, then I said, hey, we either got to re-examine some assumptions or we've got to change some things. But at least I'm looking at cold hard facts versus just theory or goals or things that I pulled out of my head. Now, I always like to say that having a financial model, most operators most entrepreneurs, they're flying a plane, but they don't have a GPS, right? So you're flying a plane, you're a pilot, and you're just looking out the front of the front window, and you're saying, oh, wow, I think that's Atlanta. Yeah, let's land here, right? Whereas when you add a financial model into your business, it's like having the GPS and also having the autopilot, where you know exactly what you need to do and where you're going to land on a month-to-month, quarter-to-quarter, year-to-year basis. So you just bring so much more optics and better decision-making into the day-to-day. Now, a really good financial model has three things. Number one, it has the P&L, so the profit and loss statement. That's both retroactive for the previous. So let's say it's May, for example. It should have January through May or January through April is here's what actually happened, and then May through December is here's what we're projecting. So you kind of got that home screen where you can see everything. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that a good financial model, it needs to have a projected versus actual. Okay, so this is very, very important. We actually review this every single month. With my financial controller and I will get on a meeting and we'll review it. And we'll say, where did we project that we're going to hit and where did we actually hit? So we've got the projected versus actual that we can take a look at there. And then the third thing is you need to have a revenue forecast. So to be honest, there's all these different categories and stuff. You could break out different tabs in your spreadsheet for a lot of them, and so that you can have kind of further optics into those things. But I found that there's one that's more important than any other, and that's the revenue forecast. If you're like most businesses, the revenue is kind of one of the most important lines, and whether you miss or hit on that is going to affect everything below the line. Right? Revenue can cover up a lot of things. So we want to break it down. And then when we have our revenue forecast, so let's say for a month we're projected to hit $500,000. We need to know that, okay, $125,000 of that is going to come from this traffic source. So maybe paid traffic. 75,000 of this is going to come from our blog or from content marketing. X thousand of this is going to come from this sales rep or this stage that I'm speaking at, or whatever that looks like, right? And then we're going to have, just like our P&L, we're going to have names that own each one of those line items on the revenue forecast and names that own each line item on the P&L or on the profit and loss. And this is super important because whenever we miss on one of those line items, is say, oh, so-and-so owns the marketing expense and we missed on marketing. So they're accountable for that. So then I go to that person, I say, hey, what are you going to do about this? We missed this. We need to make sure that we're hitting this, right? So then we're just able to be very open and very honest about what we're hitting in the business. Now, one kind of overarching thing that you have to have here if you really want to let this loose in your business is open book management. Now, one of my favorite books of all time is by Jack Stack. It's Winning at the Great Game of Business. And he talks about open book management and how it's one of the best things that you'll ever do. We do this here at Self-Publishing School. We also have a profit share, which is really, really beneficial. And our employees love that. And so we have a profit share, and people love being in the profit share. And they got to know the score to the game to know if we're winning. And then that affects how much they get paid in the profit share. So we're open book on everything except for labor. I just don't see any value in being open book about that because there's just kind of more trouble than what it's worth. But we're open book about everything else, and so people are invested in our success. They own different line items on the financial model, and they know that they can do something about it to change it. Now, the last thing that I'll mention here before I wrap, this is one of the most valuable things that I learned from Keith Cunningham. He said you always need to look at a number in 3 formats. And number 1, in a dollar amount. Number 2, as a percentage. And number 3, as a per unit basis. So let me give you an example of what I mean here. So whenever we're looking at the projected versus actual, we say, okay, we projected to hit 500K. We hit 400K in sales, right? So we've got it as a number, and then we've also got it as a percentage. But let's say down here in our marketing expense, we projected to spend $50,000. We spent $60,000. So, all right, we've got the number amount, which is obviously we overspent. So that's red, not green. Then if we do marketing expense as a percentage of revenue, we've got what we projected. We projected, whatever that math shakes out to be, 15% or whatever, and we spent 17% or whatever the math makes out to be. So now we're able to see 2 different trends there. And then the last one is per unit. So if we sold 100 units and we spent $60,000, we spent X number cost to acquire a customer. And those 3 different numbers are going to actually show you and paint 3 different pictures. Right? We might see, as a revenue amount, we underspent. So, we're good. We didn't spend as much on operating expenses as we thought. But then if we look at the percentage, we might see that because we missed revenue, we overspent on operating expenses. So they actually tell 2 conflicting stories. And then maybe the per unit, we can see that, our per unit is up. So what's going on there? If this is a cost of goods sold or our costs out of control, or what can we do to change that? So there you have it. That's a financial model. Hopefully you've seen how important this is. And I urge you, if you don't have it already, get with your financial controller, get with your ops manager, get with whoever you got to get with to make this thing happen. And I promise you, not only will you be able to make better decisions, but you'll be able to see what's happening, what's actually happening in your business, and you'll be able to figure out what you can do about it and change it so that your results will get better. So there you have it. There's the financial model. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'd love for you to comment below. Let me know what you thought about this video. Do you have a financial model? How long have you operated without one? For me, it was way too long. And then what'd you think of the video? And I look forward to seeing you back in the next one. See ya.